Good afternoon, sir. Could you please state your name and provide your date of birth?
Jordan Lee Victor.
Mr. Victor. Mr. Victor, you are here on a Superior Court new case on a probation violation warrant and on a Superior Court failure to appear warrant. In your new Superior Court case, I find probable cause for the allegation of one count of shoplifting, a Class 4 felony. I have appointed you an attorney. You have a status conference November 13th, 8:31 a.m. Preliminary hearing November 15th, 8:31 a.m. That's at the downtown Phoenix Superior Courthouse. Mr. Victor, you were on felony release at the time of your arrest in this case, and because this is a felony, that means you are non-bondable at this time. You will have an evidentiary hearing November 13th at 1:30 p.m. The judge at that time will determine whether you are bondable and what your bond and release conditions will be. Then, Mr. Victor, regarding your probation violation warrant, this is for alleged violations of terms 3, 4, 5, 14, and 15. I've appointed you an attorney. You have a probation hearing November 13th, 8:30 a.m. Downtown Phoenix Superior Courthouse. I am affirming bond the amount of $100. Don't pay that bond at this time, though. Even if you were to pay that bond, you would not be released because you're non-bondable in your new case. And by not paying this bond, that means the time you spend in custody right now will count towards time served, both for this probation case as well as your failure to appear case. Now, regarding the failure to appear in your ongoing Superior Court case, you have a status conference November 13th, 8:31 a.m. Preliminary hearing November 15th, 8:31 a.m. Bonds in the amount of $500. Again, don't pay that bond for the reasons I just stated. Mr. Victor, do you have any questions?
No.
All right. Thank you, sir. Mackenzie Brownotter and then Eric Wilson will be on deck. Good afternoon, sir. Could you please state your name and provide your date of birth?
Mackenzie Brownotter.
Thank you, Mr. Brownotter. Mr. Brownotter, you are here on 2 Superior Court probation violation matters. I have appointed you an attorney. You have a probation hearing November 13th, 8:30 a.m. at the downtown Phoenix Superior Courthouse. Mr. Brownotter, I am setting a cash-only bond, the amount of $10,000 in each case. Total bond is $20,000 cash only. That means you have to pay that full amount in order to be released. You can work with a financial institution, I believe, such as a bail bonding company. However, I don't know what their terms would be. I don't believe it would be the 10%. This is not secured appearance. If you pay your bonds, you will be released. You're then promising to go to court on all of your court dates. You're also promising to comply with the standard conditions and restrictions of release. In addition, you're not to possess any weapons. You're not to possess or consume any alcohol. You must submit the fingerprinting of the arresting police department and contact your probation officer within 72 hours of release. Mr. Brownotter, do you have any questions?
So the bond is $20,000?
$20,000, correct.
Total?
Total.
Okay.
All right. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Eric Wilson and then Jackson Niago Wani will be on deck. Good afternoon, sir. Could you please state your name and provide your date of birth?
Eric Marshall Wilson, 7.
Thank you, Mr. Wilson. Mr. Wilson, you're here on a Superior Court new case and on a alleged Term 1 probation violation because of this new arrest. In your new case, sir, I find probable cause for the allegations of one count of possession of a weapon by a prohibited person. That's a Class 4 felony. One count of criminal trespass in the second degree, a Class 2 misdemeanor. I've appointed you an attorney. Your case will be heard at the downtown Phoenix Superior Courthouse, where you have a status conference November 13th, 8:31 a.m. Preliminary hearing November 15th, 8:31 a.m. Mr. Wilson, I have set bond in the amount of $15,000 in this case. That is a secured appearance bond. You have a $1,000 bond in your probation case. So total is $16,000. They're both secured appearance. That means you can pay that directly or work with a bail bonding company. They generally require 10% plus collateral. That would be $1,600. If you pay your bonds, you will be released. You're then promising to go to court on all of your court dates. You also will see pretrial services for supervision and have an ankle monitor installed. You also must comply with the standard conditions and restrictions of release. Plus, you're not to possess any weapons, you're not to possess or consume any alcohol, and you must contact your probation officer within 72 hours of release. See then, Mr. Wilson, regarding your alleged Term 1 probation violation, I've appointed you an attorney. You have a probation hearing scheduled November 13th, 8:30 a.m. at the downtown Phoenix Superior Courthouse. As I stated, bonds the amount of $1,000 with those same conditions and restrictions of release. Mr. Wilson, do you have any questions?
You said I'll have an ankle bracelet if I make bail?
That's correct.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Jackson Niago Wani and then Hector Sanchez will be on deck.
You actually say my name perfect, too. First time.
Oh, good. Good afternoon, sir. Could you please state your name and provide your date of birth?
Good afternoon, sir. My name is Jackson Raphael Niagawani.
Thank you, Mr. Niagawani. Sir, you're here on a Superior Court new case. I find probable cause for the allegations: 2 counts of burglary in the second degree, a Class 3 felony, 1 count of criminal trespass in the first degree, a Class 1 misdemeanor, 1 count of disorderly conduct, a Class 1 misdemeanor. I've appointed you an attorney. You have a status conference November 13th, 8:31 a.m., preliminary hearing November 15th, 8:31 a.m. at the downtown Phoenix Superior Courthouse. Mr. Niagawani, I have set a secured appearance bond in the amount of $25,000 in your case. Secured appearance means you can pay that directly or work with a bail bonding company. They generally require 10% plus collateral. That would be $2,500. If you pay your bond, you will be released. You're then promising to go to court on all of your court dates. You will have an ankle monitor installed, and you must comply with pretrial services supervision. You also must comply with the standard conditions and restrictions of release. In addition, you're not to return to the scene of the alleged crime. You're not to initiate contact with any alleged victims, complainants, or witnesses. You're not to have any physical contact with any alleged victims. You're not to possess any weapons, and you must submit to DNA testing at the arresting police department.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Niagawani, do you have any questions?
No.
All right. Thank you, sir.
All right.
Hector Sanchez and then Zachary Jarvis will be on deck. Good afternoon, sir. Could you please state your name and provide your date of birth?
Hector Sanchez, 3.
Thank you, Mr. Sanchez. Mr. Sanchez, you are here on a Superior Court new case. I find probable cause for the allegations of 1 count of organized retail theft, a Class 4 felony. I've appointed you an attorney. You have a status conference November 13th, 8:31 a.m., and a preliminary hearing November 15th, 8:31 a.m. That will be at the downtown Phoenix Superior Courthouse. Mr. Sanchez, I have set bond in the amount of $10,000 in this case. You have a $2,500 bond in your probation case. So total bond is $12,500. Those are secured appearance bonds. That means you can pay those directly or work with a bail bonding company. They generally require 10% plus collateral, which would be $1,250. If you pay your bonds, you'll be released. You're then promising to go to court on all of your court dates. You will have an ankle monitor installed, and you must comply with pretrial services supervision. You also must comply with the standard conditions and restrictions of release. In addition, you're not to return to the scene of the alleged crime. You're not to possess any weapons. You're not to possess or consume any alcohol. You must contact your probation officer within 72 hours of release. Also, sir, you are prohibited from entering the premises of any Lowe's location. Mr. Sanchez, you also have your probation violation warrant for alleged violations of terms 13 and 15. I've appointed you an attorney. Your probation hearing will be November 13th, 8:30 a.m. As I stated, bond the amount of $2,500. You have the same conditions and restrictions of release as I stated earlier. Mr. Sanchez, do you have any questions?
No, sir.
All right. Thank you, sir. Zachary Jarvis and then Richard Pope will be on deck.
Yes, Your Honor.
Good afternoon, sir. Could you please state your name and provide your date of birth?
Yes, my name is Zachary Tyler Jarvis, and
Thank you, Mr. Jarvis. Mr. Jarvis, you are here on a Superior Court failure to appear warrant. You have this is in your probation case. You have a probation hearing November 13th, 8:30 a.m. at the downtown Phoenix Superior Courthouse. Mr. Jarvis, I am affirming the bond in the warrant. This is a cash-only bond in the amount of $1,500. So you have to pay that full amount in order to be released. I believe you can work with a lending institution such as a bail bonding company. I don't know what their terms would be, though. If you pay your bond, you'll be released. You're then promising to go to court on all of your court dates. I'm sorry, Giselle, I need to edit this one. And you have the standard conditions. Oh, just a moment. I need to edit it one more time. Sorry. You have the standard conditions and restrictions of release. In addition, you are not to possess any weapons, and you must contact your probation officer within 72 hours of release. Mr. Jarvis, do you have any questions?
so I'm not going to be able to be released. I have to bond out.
Correct. You have to pay a bond in order to be
Is there any
released.
way that you could possibly lower it, please, or like make it to where it's I can go through a bail bondsman and it not be all cash? Your
So,
Honor, please, thank you, Your Honor. The only reason I didn't show up to court was I was unnotified, honestly.
Martinez Burgos. Go ahead. Can you have one of the trustees for child support? Gary, how are you doing?
Well, what I'm seeing here, Mr. Jarvis, is that you were arrested. There was a warrant that had been issued dating back to November 18th, 2022. You were arrested and posted bond in Pima County.
And then
you didn't contact Maricopa County Superior Court.
They never notified me. I thought I was taking care of the case out there. I didn't know that it was two separate cases, Your Honor. I honestly didn't.
Well,
And if you can see, I also am going to pretrial services and everything like I'm supposed to out there. I've checked in every single week, every single time they've asked me to. I've showed up to every single court date. I have not missed a court date. I'm in all compliances with all of their stuff, Your Honor. If I would have known, I would have showed up. I honestly thought I was taking care of it out there. I thought they put it together, and I did not know, Your Honor. Please.
Well, I guess the problem is that, I mean, you didn't have contact for almost 2 years with probation. So you didn't have contact with probation for almost 2 years, and then you're arrested in Pima County. They would have given you a court date for Maricopa County.
I promise you, Your Honor, I swear, they never gave me even a piece of paper that said anything about Maricopa County's anything. I promise you, Your Honor. Otherwise, why would I go to all my court dates and pretrial services out there if I didn't do it out here, you know? Like, I promise, I've been going to all my stuff. I've been trying to take care of it. Like, I check in every single week with pretrial services out there. My attorney and all that is all in line. I've been going to court. I've showed up to the last 4 court dates in a row.
Well, I guess, I mean, I still don't understand why, you know, you went so long without having any contact with probation in Maricopa County.
Honestly, I was in a bit of a situation where I didn't have nowhere to live. I was homeless.
Well, I mean, I'm sympathetic to that, Mr. Jarvis, on the one hand, but at the same time, like, I mean, you had to know, like, you have absconded from probation, you haven't made any contact with probation.
And I thought that the case that I was going to court for out there was put all together. I didn't know, I didn't know that they had separated or what was going on. I thought I was all one case, Your Honor. I honestly did.
Just a moment. Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, Mr. Jarvis, I can't find anything out about your Pima County cases. I mean, I guess here's the tough thing for me, Mr. Jarvis, is that you had to know, right? You haven't been in contact with probation.
Yeah.
There's got to be a problem,
yes,
right? You had to know that there's got to be a problem, and that at a minimum, you've got to reach out and figure out what's going on. So when you say like, oh, I thought it was all taken care of,
I didn't think.
but why not make the call? Like, hey, you know what? I think this is all taken care of, but boy, I better be certain about this.
I didn't think it was all taken care of, like it just like was taken care of and gone. I just thought it was being taken care of in that court case in Tucson. You know what I mean? I thought I was going through the process of working on it, and you know, I've had some mental issues in the last few years. And I was in a car accident recently too, so I've been going through a lot, and no excuse, honestly. You're right, Your Honor. I tried. But if you do see that, I've been going to all my court dates and been in touch with pretrial services every single week since I've been out there.
Yeah, again, Mr. Jarvis, I mean, there's just not...
Like, if I wouldn't have been going to pretrial services and all that, there would have been warrants out for me and stuff. If I wouldn't have been going to my court cases, I promise you I've been going to all of them and taking care of everything I've been able to ever since I've gotten the job and been back on my feet.
Well, I mean, you were picked up in Pima County on this warrant.
Yes.
So what was that situation?
I was living out there because of mental situation. I was unstable, and I got in a bad car accident, and wasn't mentally able to take care of myself.
Okay. Well, here's what I'll do, Mr. Jarvis. I mean, and this may not be as much as you want. I'll switch it to a secured appearance bond, so it does allow you to work with a bail bonding company. They generally require 10%. That would be $150 plus collateral. So if you pay that bond, then, again, you're promising to go to court on the 13th, promising to get in contact with probation. So that means you're probably going to need to go down to the probation office.
That's right.
Just making a phone call is not going to be sufficient. I guess what I'd say is, Mr. Jarvis, until you have a probation officer telling you, hey, yeah, you've talked to who you need to talk to, you're doing what you need to do, don't Don't say, oh, you know what, I think it's
thought-
maybe gonna be good, I think that this is gonna be taken care of, because otherwise you're gonna find yourself back here real fast. I don't want that for you,
Yes, Your Honor.
okay?
Thank you, Your Honor.
You're welcome. Mr. Jarvis, do you have any other questions?
No, sir, thank you.
All right, you're welcome. Thank you, sir. Good luck to you. They'll bring your paperwork, sir. You can go to your left. Richard Pope, and then Denny Hunsaker will be on deck. Good afternoon, sir. Could you please state your name and provide your date of birth?
Richard Allen Pope.
Mr. Pope. Mr. Pope, you're here on a Desert Ridge Justice Court warrant. This is for failure to pay or comply with court orders. You have an arraignment hearing November 12th, 8:30 a.m. at the Desert Ridge Justice Court. I am affirming the bond in the amount of $1,500. I have appointed you an attorney for limited representation regarding the bond issue only. That bond of $1,500 is a secured appearance bond. You can pay that directly or work with a bail bonding company. They generally require 10% plus collateral. 10% of $1,500 would be $150. If you pay your bond, you will be released. You're then promising to go to court on all of your court dates, plus you're promising to comply with the standard conditions and restrictions of release. In addition, you're not to possess any weapons and you're not to possess or consume any alcohol. Mr. Pope, do you have any questions?
No.
All right, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Denny Hunsaker and then Alan Escriba will be on deck. Good afternoon, sir. Could you please state your name and provide your date of birth?
Yes, sir, Denny Hunsaker.
Thank you, Mr. Hunsaker. Mr. Hunsaker, you're here on 3 Superior Court probation violation warrants. These are for alleged violations of terms 3 and 5. I've appointed you an attorney. You have a probation hearing November 13th, 8:30 a.m. at the downtown Phoenix Superior Courthouse. Mr. Hunsaker, I am affirming the bond. It's in the amount of $550 in 2 of your cases, $250 in the third. So the total bond between all 3 is $1,350. That's a secured appearance bond. That means you can pay that amount directly or work with a bail bonding company. They generally require 10% plus collateral. 10% of $1,350 would be $135. If you pay your bonds, you'll be released. You're then promising to go to court on all of your court dates. You're also promising to comply with the standard conditions and restrictions of release. In addition, you're not to possess any weapons, you're not to possess or consume any alcohol, and you must contact your probation officer within 72 hours of release. Mr. Hunsaker, do you have any questions?
No, sir.
All right, thank you, Mr. Hunsaker. Good luck to you. Alan Escriba and then Jacob Holsey will be on deck. Good afternoon, sir. Could you please state your name and provide your date of birth?
Alan Escriba. ALANESCRBA.
Thank you, Mr. Escriba. Your date of birth, please?
12.
Thank you, sir. So you're here on a Superior Court new case and on 2 alleged Term 1 probation violation matters. In your new case, Mr. Escriba, I find probable cause for the allegation of 1 count of possession or use of dangerous drugs, which is a Class 4 felony. I've appointed you an attorney. You have a status conference November 13th, 8:31 a.m., preliminary hearing November 15th, 8:31 a.m. That'll be at the downtown Phoenix Superior Courthouse. Your bond in this case is in the amount of $500. You have a $500 bond in each of your probation matters. Total is $1,500. That those bonds are secured appearance. You can pay those directly or work with a bail bonding company. They generally require 10% plus collateral, which would be $150. If you pay your bonds, you will be released. You're then promising to go to court on all of your court dates, and you're promising to comply with the standard conditions and restrictions of release. In addition, you're not to possess any weapons, you're not to possess or consume any alcohol, and you must contact your probation officer within 72 hours of release. Mr. Escriba, then regarding your alleged Term 1 probation violations, I've appointed you an attorney. Probation hearings November 13th, 8:30 a.m. It's again downtown Phoenix Superior Courthouse. Bonds amount of $500 in each of these, as I stated before. Same conditions and restrictions of release. Mr. Escriba, do you have any questions?
No.
Thank you, sir. Good luck to you. Jacob Holsey and then Jorge Castro will be on deck. Good afternoon, sir. Could you please state your name and provide your date of birth?
Jacob Lawrence Holsey, October.
Thank you, Mr. Holsey. Mr. Holsey, you're here on a Superior Court direct complaint arrest warrant. You are charged with 1 count of theft of means of transportation, a Class 3 felony. This dates back to August 19th, 2022. That's the alleged offense date. I've appointed you an attorney. You have a status conference November 13th, 8:31 a.m. Preliminary hearing November 15th, 8:31 a.m. That's at the downtown Phoenix Superior Courthouse. Mr. Holsey, I have affirmed the bond in the amount of $500. However, it's just a placeholder bond. Don't pay that bond. So I understand you're in the custody of the Department of Corrections. You don't have a current, you won't be released prior to November 13th. So again, don't pay that bond. Mr. Holsey, do you have any questions?
No.
All right. Thank you, sir. Jorge Castro and then Ruth Garcia will be on deck. Good afternoon, sir. Could you please state your name and provide your date of birth?
Jorge Castro.
Thank you, Mr. Castro. Mr. Castro, you're here on a Superior Court probation violation warrant for alleged violations of terms 3 and 5. I've appointed you an attorney. You have a probation hearing scheduled November 13th, 8:30 a.m. at the downtown Phoenix Superior Courthouse. I am affirming bond the amount of $500 in this case. It is secured appearance. That means you can pay that directly or work with a bail bonding company. They generally require 10%. It's less than $1,000. So I believe you still can work with a company. I don't know what their terms would be, though. But if you pay the bond, you're promising to go to court on all of your court dates and promising to comply with the standard conditions and restrictions of release. In addition, you're not to possess any weapons, you're not to possess or consume any alcohol. You must contact your probation officer within 72 hours of release. Mr. Castro, do you have any questions?
No, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Castro.
Thank you, sir.
Good luck to you. Ruth Garcia and then Ronald Levasseur will be on deck. Good afternoon, ma'am. Could you please state your name and provide your date of birth?
Ruth Garcia.
Your date of birth, Ms. Garcia? Ms. Garcia. Ma'am, you're here on a Superior Court probation violation warrant for alleged violation of Term 1. I've appointed you an attorney. You have a probation hearing November 13th, 8:30 a.m. at the downtown Phoenix Superior Courthouse. Ms. Garcia, I am affirming bond the amount of $100. It is secured appearance. Technically, you can work with a bail bonding company. However, the amount's so low, I'm fairly confident that there aren't any that will work with that number. There is a chance I could be mistaken, so you can reach out to a bail bonding company or to friends or family to help you pay that. If you pay your bond, you'll be released. You're then promising to go to court on all of your court dates. You're also promising to comply with the standard conditions and restrictions of release. Plus, you're not to possess any weapons, you're not to possess or consume any alcohol, and you must contact your probation officer within 72 hours of release. Ms. Garcia, do you have any questions? Thank you, ma'am. Good luck to you. Ronald Levasseur and then Yanina Flores will be on deck. Good afternoon, sir. Could you please state your name and provide your date of birth?
Yes, Ronald Levasseur.
Thank you, Mr. Levasseur. Mr. Levasseur, you're here on a Superior Court probation violation warrant. This is for alleged violations of terms 3 and 5. I've appointed you an attorney. You have a probation hearing scheduled November 13th, 8:30 a.m. at the downtown Phoenix Superior Courthouse. I am affirming the bond in the amount of $250. It is secured appearance. Technically, you can work with a bail bonding company. However, because the amount's so low, I don't think any will work with that number. I may be mistaken, though. So if you, at any rate, if you pay your bond, you're promising to go to court on all of your court dates. You're also promising to comply with the standard conditions and restrictions of release. In addition, you're not to possess any weapons. You're not to possess or consume any alcohol. You must submit to fingerprinting at the arresting police department, and you must contact your probation officer within 72 hours of release. Mr. Levasseur, do you have any questions?
I just don't have any family here to help me, and the only reason I was out is because I got some major medical treatment right now. I have brain injuries, and I have a foot that's got to be amputated, and I've been getting that treated because that's what I was in the hospital for before I ended up getting in trouble. And the reason that I'm having all these problems is because my brain is infected, and it's causing interruptions. And I had to go to the hospital and get procedures done, and the day before, when I came back from the hospital, I was robbed again. And they took all my stuff, and they left me there with nothing. And the next day, I had no way to contact, I had no way to get to the court, and I talked to the police department, and they said, you're just going to have to reschedule that one, because you're under treatment right now, and we can't arrest you because of the medical treatment you're having done. Your leg is infected, it's pussing out infection, and your head is swollen. And I've been taking medication and going to the hospitals and getting treatment and trying to get better. I'm still scheduled to get my leg removed, and my head is just damaged too much, they said. I've got too much damage to it, it's retarded. But I'm trying everything I could do. I couldn't get to court. I had no money left. no way to get there. Nobody would let me on the bus that morning. Bus drivers just kept telling me, no, get off. You have to have money. Get off. You have to have money. I asked the police department for money, and they didn't help me. They just said, you got to reschedule your court date. That's all you can do. You're already injured. You can't be walking. You're supposed to be down off your feet, and your head's too swollen. You can get hurt.
Okay.
And I've been trying to do all that. I stayed put. I haven't moved. I've stayed put where I've been, and I haven't gone anywhere. I've just been getting better, medical-wise. They've been taking me to the hospital back and forth, and getting treated, and then getting better. And then I went to CAS Center, where they told me to go to, and that way they can help me. And they've been trying to figure out how we're going to get this court scheduled, because it didn't show up forever, the rescheduling it. They were trying to reschedule it, and it kept just not showing up. Finally, it showed up, and he's trying to get it rescheduled with me. But I had to come here. He said 24 hours ahead I was supposed to come to court, go to the police department, turn myself in, and then go to court that morning, and then get released, and then they'll take me, and then I can come back.
Well, yeah, and I guess what I'd say, Mr. Levasseur, is that if you had self-surrendered, if you'd gone to the police and said, hey, I need to get this taken care of, that would be really easy for me to
I was
release
waiting
you.
to do that. I just got done fixing the Glendale one last week, and then I had to get my last treatment done. I was in the hospital again, and I've been getting treatment done for my head and my leg. My leg was pussing out stuff bad. I mean, I couldn't even walk. I was walking anywhere, not even 10 feet, and it was just blowing out. The leg has got to be cut. The ankle's been torn apart. It's got a hole in it, and it's been pussing out infection. When I went to the police department, they couldn't believe it. It was just pouring out everywhere.
So, sorry, which one did you get taken care of? Glendale, is that what you said?
I got taken care of Glendale, yeah.
Okay.
That was all rescheduled. It's basically done. That's why Cass said we're working on Phoenix next, and that's why Glendale wouldn't take me to Phoenix. They said, we're not transporting. We don't transport. Who cares?
Okay.
And I was like, I need to get this done the same day, because if I'm out getting treatment done, I can't keep missing my treatment. I says, I miss my medication, and then I miss, getting help. When I was here before, they didn't even give me medication for over a month and a half. And it's like, I don't have medication, I got behind. And then when I get out, my leg's infected so bad, the ankle's swollen, I can't move it, can't do anything, so I can't walk and I can't get treatment and get better.
So, Mr. Levasseur, yeah, okay. So, I know we have excellent medical staff here.
Yeah, they wouldn't do anything for that leg. And the head is out of control.
But, Mr. Levasseur, so the police contacted Glendale. They say they still have active warrants for you. So it doesn't sound like those are resolved at this point.
And they wouldn't take them. They wouldn't take me there. They said, no, it's not our problem. It's too far.
But, Mr. Levasseur, you just told me that you already took care of your Glendale case.
Yes, that's taken care of this week.
It's not, is what I'm telling you, is because Glendale still has active warrants for you. So those aren't resolved.
It's supposed to be done. Got arrested that morning. I went to court, got arrested. They took me to the courtroom. He rescheduled it. It's starting November, I believe November 17th, or January 17th is where it's going to be.
So, sir, what I'm saying is that Glendale is saying that they still have active warrants for your arrest. I mean, the police officer spoke to dispatch directly. They confirmed that you have active warrants for your arrest. Mr. Levasseur, here's the situation is that I have no doubt that things are tough, but you have got to stay in contact with your probation officer.
I'm sorry, I know.
And if you don't, then this is inevitable what will happen.
And I've been asking for help. I've got no phone. They steal it, and then I'm down to nothing. I don't have no money, no job, no income. I can't work because I'm disabled. And I told them that. And I go to use somebody's phone, and they say no. They tell me, no, you can't use it. Get out of here. It's just because I'm homeless. I'm homeless because of a reason, because I got ran over in October. And the guy killed me there. Okay. And I can't work because I got massive brain injury. I got bad foot injury.
So, Mr. Levasseur, I guess here's the problem is that I don't have anything that tells me that tomorrow something's going to be different than what it was yesterday.
I don't see how they can change it in Glendale, man. I went and fixed it. I took my time to fix it.
I am going to keep the bond in place. I really do wish you the very best.
That's bad that they didn't do it. They didn't do their job again. They're never doing their job. They wouldn't even take me to Phoenix. They wouldn't do their job now. It proves to you right there they're not doing their job. They arrested me. They brought me here. I went to see the judge from in front of the camera. When I went to Glendale jail, they took me to the camera, they put the judge in front of me, and she did all the court hearings. She told me when I come back. Now, they didn't do their job and post it. That's their fault. They're not doing the work.
But, Mr. Levasseur, it wasn't you taking care of your Glendale warrants. It was the police taking you to Glendale. So
I need to see a lawyer then because they didn't do their job. They're not doing their job properly. They're basically avoiding it. The judge gave me a new court date. She released me.
This conversation isn't going to be fruitful.
Okay.
So thank you, sir.
She released me. I mean, why did the judge release me that day?
Mr. Levasseur, I don't know, I wasn't at that hearing.
I don't even
So
know
thank
what's
you,
going
sir.
on, because this has already been taken care of. Who do I speak to about this? Because this was already
You
taken
can
care
speak
of.
with your attorney about it, Mr. Levasseur.
Okay.
Yanine Flores and then Daisha Noland will be on deck. Good afternoon, ma'am. Could you please state your name and provide your date of birth?
Janina 34
Thank you, Ms. Flores. Ms. Flores, you're here on a Superior Court probation violation warrant. This is for alleged violations of terms 3, 4, and 5. I've appointed you an attorney. You have a probation hearing scheduled November 13th, 8:30 a.m. at the downtown Phoenix Superior Courthouse. I'm affirming bond. It is a cash-only bond, the amount of $50. So you have to pay that $50 in order to be released. If you pay your bond, then you are promising to go to court on all of your court dates. You're also promising to comply with the standard conditions and restrictions of release. In addition, you're not to possess any weapons, you're not to possess or consume any alcohol. You must submit to fingerprinting at the arresting police department and contact your probation officer within 72 hours of release. Ms. Flores, do you have any questions?
No.
All right, thank you, ma'am. Daisha Noland and then Molly Barnes will be on deck. Good afternoon, ma'am. Could you please state your name and provide your date of birth?
Daisha Noland, 10.
Thank you, Ms. Noland. Ms. Noland, you're here on a Superior Court failure to appear warrant. You have a status conference scheduled November 21st, 8:31 a.m. at the downtown Phoenix Superior Courthouse. Preliminary hearing November 25th, 8:31 a.m. Ms. Noland, I am going to release you on supervised release. So I'm going to give you another chance to get to court. It's really important that you get to court on your next court date. If you don't, a new warrant will be issued for your arrest. Next time, it's almost certain you're going to have to pay a bond. So I promise you, it's just going to be so much better to make that your highest priority, go to court, get this taken care of, okay? Because you're being released, you're promising to go to court on all your court dates. You're promising to comply with pretrial services supervision and with the standard conditions and restrictions of release. In addition, you're not to possess any weapons, and you must submit to fingerprinting at the arresting police department. Ms. Nolan, do you have any questions?
No.
All right, thank you, ma'am. Good luck to you.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Molly Barnes and then Ashley Ward will be on deck. Good afternoon, ma'am. Could you please state your name and provide your date of birth?
Yeah, Molly Barnes.
Thank you, Ms. Barnes. Ms. Barnes, you're here on a Superior Court new case. I find probable cause for the allegations: 1 count of possession or use of narcotic drugs, a Class 4 felony, 1 count of possession or use of drug paraphernalia, a Class 6 felony. I've appointed you an attorney. You have a status conference November 21st, 8:31 a.m. Preliminary hearing November 25th, 8:31 a.m. That's at the downtown Phoenix Superior Courthouse. Ms. Barnes, I'm going to release you on your own recognizance. So that means you're going to leave here in about 4 hours to 6 hours from now. Because you're being released, you're promising to go to court on all of your court dates. You're also promising to comply with the standard conditions and restrictions of release. In addition, you're not to possess any weapons. Ms. Barnes, do you have any questions?
No, thank you.
All right, you're welcome. Thank you, ma'am. Good luck to you. Ashley Ward. Good afternoon, ma'am. Could you please state your name and provide your date of birth?
Ashley Ward, 19.
Thank you, Ms. Ward. Ms. Ward, you're here on a Superior Court probation violation warrant, and this is for alleged violations of terms 3 and 5. Ms. Ward, I do see that you did contact your probation officer. Probation officer asked you to report, so I'm going to release you on your own recognizance because of that. You're welcome. Thank you, ma'am, and thank you for reporting. And
I wasn't trying to run, it was just a misunderstanding.
okay, yeah, and so I hope you know, like with probation, ideally you're always on top of things, but if you make a mistake and you go and report and get it taken care of, usually people are going to be willing to give you another chance, okay? So your probation hearing is November 13th, 8:30 a.m., downtown Phoenix Superior Courthouse. The address will be in your paperwork. Again, you'll be on your way in 4 to 6 hours. You have the standard conditions and restrictions of release as well. Plus, you're not to possess any weapons, you're not to possess or consume any alcohol. You must submit to fingerprinting at the arresting police department within 5 days of today's date, and make sure you contact your probation officer within 72 hours of release.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, Ms. Ward. Do you have any questions?
Thank you so much.
All right, you're welcome. Thank you, ma'am.